cents a month, which is cheaper than any other streaming service. But I mean, you could offer it for free because it doesn't have any content, right? And that's what they did. Is if you bought a brand new iPhone or Apple TV or a Macintosh or an iPad, any of their products comes with a free year of Apple TV Plus. Which, yeah, I mean, if you think you might be getting into that, then that makes a lot of sense.
Kind of like getting hooked.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, and who knows, maybe it only takes a year of free interest for them to bring together what would interest everyone into paying for it.
Have a capacity to.
I know that's what happened with Apple Music.
They get a lot of eyeballs on it. They get a lot of people getting used to getting something. They darn well hope that their content is at least good enough that people will start getting something from that, and then we're going to come to the end of this 12 months, and it's like, oh, I don't get that anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, that's essentially what they did with
That's
Apple
the
Music.
hope.
Is they offered a subscription service that you could do for 30 days, and most people liked it so much they didn't turn it off.
Yeah.
Right? And it included their entire catalog of music. I mean, to this day, you could be an Apple Music customer. If you're a music person, you have access to this millions of songs. You can build your own playlists. You can download those songs, stick them in your devices.
How do they stop you? This is a very dumb question. How do they stop you from capturing what you're recording, what they're playing?
You know, I don't think they try. I think there was a period of time where they did try and stop you. Everything was encrypted. Everything had to be. But as far as I understand, I think those are completely open songs. I think you're able to take them out of Apple Music. You're able to stick them in devices that don't have subscription services and listen to them. The real question I have is, yeah, I think that's.
So why don't I just go and take a month of my life and play my 5,000 or 10,000 favorite songs? Actually, I don't have to play them. I just download them. And then I say sayonara.
Yeah, I think that technically there's a limitation of how many songs you can download at one time.
Alright, so they're choking me off at some number in my 30 days.
I'm thinking that's the way. I really don't know. I haven't had the experience, but I do know that it's flexible before it's blocking. That your ability to move that stuff around. Now, what I haven't considered is they've got an Android app now, so they don't have to be as flexible as they used to be, because they opened up Apple Music to Android and to smart TVs. And see, Amazon did that immediately when they offered a music service, and you don't necessarily get to move those songs around. If you've got an app where you want it, and where you want that music to come from, then you're using the app. And I'm saying this now and I'm realizing, no, Amazon hasn't done that. Amazon made it easy to flat. So you could have an app, you could download to your computer, you can grab those. Yeah, all Amazon stuff is all open too. It's not DRM'd. So I would imagine if you've got it in a device and you cancel your subscription, you've got those songs, at least until if it's an Apple device, what do you want to imagine that you cancel your subscription the first time it's connected to the internet, it goes.
Well, I think if I just trivially rename the files, batch rename the files with an appended character, then when it goes to delete, those files aren't there anymore.
Yeah, if they were doing it on files, renaming it wouldn't matter. They would still be able to identify them because they're able to fingerprint files, and so names don't mean anything in Apple technology.
Well, then I copy them and I move them out of that folder to my other storage.
And folders don't mean anything to Apple technology.
I moved off to USB, Scott.
Right, which means nothing in Apple technology. But I hear what you're trying to get to. If you had iTunes installed in a Windows computer, and you downloaded them to a folder, and then you moved that folder out of iTunes, I've got a feeling you could hang on to them. Yeah. Which is not exactly the way Apple would want you to deal with it, but that's the way it's dealt with in Windows 10.
I was thinking with your free offer, now, this would obviously be the resolution of whatever they're streaming.
I could
just pull that off and record record that as my own file. That has nothing to do with them unless there's some real voodoo in that, in the.
I think
sound.
I think it's easy to go down this road of the technical intricacies that you could take advantage of, but I think in the overall perspective
Right,
of what
they just
Apple's
don't care.
doing, they just
Right.
don't care.
Yeah.
They have made it so easy. I'll give you an example. I was helping somebody in Mesa, a good friend of mine. She's got audiobooks on CD, and she wants to get them in her old iPod. And she's got one of those old standard iPod with a disc wheel on it, and it's got a hard drive in it. And I know exactly how to do that, but it's so cumbersome. You stick the disc in, you rip it, you've got unnamed files, unnamed album. You have to go and propagate all that information yourself. So you have to name the album yourself, you have to name each track yourself. You don't have to do that with music. This is an audio book CD. An audio CD goes in, it looks it up in a database, finds the title of each song that's on it, the track number, fills all that information, and now you've got it digitalized and you don't need the disc anymore. An audio book is a much more cumbersome activity, and it's because they make so much money selling audiobooks. And so you have to name it yourself, name each track yourself, give all that information, switch the mode from music to audiobook, and then transfer it over to your device. And so this is a combination of Apple kind of nudging you in to buying their service and buying a new device. If you had a new iPhone, you wouldn't do any of that crap. You would go to you'd go to the smartphone, the Macintosh computer, everyone in your life that signs into that. You could delete it from the device, and the next time you're on internet, you'd be like, I didn't mean to delete that, and you can immediately bring it back down from the exact same place marker that you would have just started playing it. And if you have fast enough internet, you don't have to download it from the exact same place marker. You just start it, and it would be started out of the cloud. And so you don't have to add it to the storage. And that goes back to what Richard was talking about, the power of being able to add more storage to your device. It's kind of a double-edged sword. Apple's playing this game where, well, you can keep a bunch of stuff up in the cloud, and then you don't have to have a bunch of storage on your device. The other side of that in the Android world, my daughter's phone, these storage cards, they get corrupted from time to time and need to have maintenance done on them. Most Android phones don't have a sophisticated way of doing maintenance on them, so you pull them out and you stick them in a PC to do the maintenance on them. If they're married to the phone, they're encrypted, so you lose everything that's on that card. My daughter's had to deal with this twice now, where we finally said, no, let's not marry it to the phone, we'll just call it a storage card. Well, then every single app she uses has to be modified so that it will use that as the storage location. Whereas if you it's called adoptive memory. You put the card in, you adopt it to your phone, it uses a encryption key to key it specifically to that phone. So now any app that she uses will put it on that extra storage. That's awesome. Until the card has a problem. When the card has a problem, she loses everything that's on the card. Whereas an iPhone, people don't suffer from any of that stuff because it's just bought with the amount of storage you think you're going to use.
Couldn't she be automatically uploading that to the cloud?
She could, and we've talked about that before. We haven't had a decent, but she's not using services for her music. This is what I love. My kids, I don't even do this. My kids do this. They go to YouTube, they find music that they love, and then they strip it out of YouTube and stick it in their phone.
Sure.
That's what the kids do, right?
That's a
That's what I
smart
do.
way
They
to do
know
it.
way more than adults.
Then they can get whatever they want.
Yeah.
Before they,
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I do.
So the last time her card got messed up, well, and here's what the kids do. She doesn't have a computer. She has a phone, right? So she goes to a computer to do this activity, to put it on her phone. But she's not intimate with a computer like I am. She's not plugging a phone into a computer at least once a week. She's plugging a phone into a computer when she wants to put more new songs on it.
That's it.
And so you're right. I mean, if she had a habit where she was making backups of this phone, it wouldn't be so painful.
I mean, I have, the only data that I have on my external SDs is the big space, is that you know how much I love maps, and I have like 13 gigabytes of maps. But what do I care? It's on a 32 gig copy. You know.
I'll tell you, as soon as I got cell service from Telcel that would allow me to use it anywhere in the United States, Canada, includes Alaska, even though it should always include Alaska. It does include Alaska. it should always include Alaska, but it does.
That is part of the United States.
Yeah.
Last I read.
Yeah, theoretically it is. But you know, I run a bed and breakfast in the summer, and that's always the game. People show up with equipment that will not work in Alaska. And
Really?
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. It's
Something peculiar to the carriers up there, or?
yeah, absolutely. To the infrastructure. Well, the number one carrier in Alaska is GCI. GCI is like in the top 5 carriers of the United States, and the only place they give service is Alaska. To give you an idea of the abundance of service that they give, like per capita, they are in the top 5 carriers of the. They're right alongside AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile is GCI, and the only place in the United States they give service is Alaska. The issue with Alaskans are typically they're not trying to use their phone in other areas. So they work great in Alaska, and then they leave Alaska and they have all these interconnection contract issues and all the different places that they're moving around. And Mexico's the same kind of ridiculousness. If you're, I mean, they don't have a North American plan for GCI. So what they recommend is buying a SIM card. They sell SIM cards now that give international service, but they're actually a handshake deal with T-Mobile. So when you get a GCI SIM card for international usage, you're actually getting a T-Mobile card, right? I mean, this is all these Alaskan nuances. When you bring equipment up, it could be that your carrier has a deal with GCI, but GCI doesn't have the radios your phone uses.
Your Telcel number worked.
It does through AT&T. Yeah, through AT&T it worked in T-Mobile. But I'll give you an example of the nuances of Alaska. My Telcel worked, but I would consistently be moving around the city, and if I moved into a cell that I'd never been on before, nothing would authorize my phone in that area. And I would have to switch my phone into airplane mode, wait a few seconds, switch it back off. That would force the authentication, and then I would get cell service.
Oh, it just needed a second to say, you know, who is this Mexican? Wait, okay.
Mine took
You
almost
just
a day
impatient.
when I just went to Chandler. It took almost a day. It had no service from Nogales all the way to Chandler
Wow.
for a day, and then the next day it broke on.
So I would immediately try that. Go into airplane mode because that turns off all your radios,
and I just
and turn it back on.
I turned the whole phone off and then turned it back on.
And you still didn't have service. Oh, it did afterwards.
That's when I came
Yeah.
back. And I think that's probably what it did, which is interesting because T-Mobile
Yeah.
is, I mean,
That's a problem I can deal with.
Yeah.
If I can get cell service, what am I paying for cell service now? It's something ridiculous in this country. I'm paying like $20 a month. $20 a month, unlimited.
You cannot complain.
Yeah,
No.
unlimited calling and texting internationally. I mean, I call my dad directly now from my cell phone
Yeah,
all the
me too.
time. We exchange text messages all the time now. I call local businesses in Alaska for my Mexican service. I have friends going, I didn't know who was calling. It's got a Mexican number. Like, baby, I'm back. And I converse with people all the time that can't call me back
Yeah,
because it would
that-
cost them an extra
That's a
bit of money.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a bit of a problem.
Well, and you know, that's spotty, and I just think that that's a travesty up in the United States. I've had people say that their plans still charge them
For international calling.
to call. Well, let's just talk about Mexico, because that's what we're talking about here.
Sure.
And it's like, dude, that is such a ripoff. It's like, nobody lives like that anymore. No Canadian lives like that. No Mexican lives like that. What is wrong with your situation?
Right? Well, you know, it's like going back in
We don't
time.
live like that in North America. You know,
Not in the
haven't for a
continental
couple
North
years.
America.
Pardon?
Not in continental North America. Because I'm telling you, you go to Alaska and you have those nuances all the time.
I was told it's completely apocryphal that this is seamless to Hawaii. I was told by a Mexican.
What was seamless to Hawaii?
His cell phone number.
Oh, yeah.
He turned his phone on in Honolulu, and
yeah.
everything was copacetic. Just,
You-
it's, you know, it's a U.S. area code. I
So
mean,
then, wherever he went then, from that point on, he had no problem?
you know,
Un poco
he
más
was- he
por
was
calentar la
going
noche.
on to Asia, and
Gracias.
I didn't get that part of the story,
Oh,
but
okay.
you're gonna pay Rome. I mean, that's Asia. That's all.
Yeah.
You're too far away. Same thing in Europe.
Minnesota.
This, you know, it's not gonna just flip on in England, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna really pay for that.
Yeah.
Now
But
these,
then you see, if you have a dual SIM phone, and you're ordinarily only using one number, that's no problem either, because you go to the latest, you know, the little English, you know, store, and just
Uh-huh.
like you would go to Oxo here and buy yourself a local SIM card and put a couple pounds, you know,
And you're good to go.
and you have a local number. You don't know it, nobody knows it, so you tell the three people who you know in London.
Right.
this is my number while I'm here.
Exactly.
It's me.
What you know what blew me away when I was in Alaska is that I was interested in getting an Alaskan cell phone number. That my plan was to come back with an Alaskan cell phone number because I get a cell phone number every time I go to Alaska, and I carry 2 cell phones around with me every time I'm in Alaska because I got to run my computer business and my bed and breakfast business. And so my plan was to do that, and because I was on a Telcel plan, and I had phone service everywhere I went, and I have a Skype number that I forward our business to that I could have access to everywhere I went. I never bothered to get a cell phone this season. But I wanted an Alaskan cell phone number that I could, we ought to turn the cameras around because basically they're looking at empty tables right now. I could get exactly the same deal Telcel's giving me, but from Alaska. It would be unlimited calling in North America. It'd be Canada, Mexico, the United States. Unlimited calling and texting, and 3 gigabytes of data. That's what Telcel's giving me for $20 a month. In Alaska, it's $40 a month. So it's twice the price to have the same access if you buy it in the United States. It's,
I'm surprised, quite honestly, that the multiple isn't greater. I've just heard, and again, not to throw out numbers, but you know, just what guys are paying
For service?
and what they're getting.
if
It
I,
always has struck, I mean, for several, a bunch of years now, it's just struck me as like, you gotta be kidding me.
You just, yeah, everything you buy, you have to check. I mean, you gotta compare everything.
But most people don't even know how to do that. You know, so
Well, and
kinda
they
get screwed.
consistently complain about poor quality service, which is
Yeah, which is funny.
which is
Right.
really a completely different discussion, but it is related.
Yeah,
Well-
I think service in Mexico is great. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I never know.
Yeah, no,
I mean, Telmex. I mean, they're like. Well, I mean, I know other people
Well-
have had problems, but for me.
well, what I like, what you're describing is true at times.
Yeah.
That's
true.
Like Telmex, any of these services, they're crappy. They have problems. They're dealing with things. And then in Mexico, it's like flipping a page, and now all of a sudden it's more than you ever expected.
Right, yeah.
Everything's working great, everything's cheaper than you were expecting it to be, and no changes will occur again for another 5 years.
And then the
As-
page will-
that's right. And so the service, the quality, everything will deteriorate, and then you hit that 5, maybe it's a 3-year mark, but you'll hit that point and the page will change. Wow, now we have fiber optics everywhere.
Too bad we can't do something about the water, like they did.
You know,
Right.
I found
Huh?
Tulsa.
My water's been really good lately, really.
Really?
Good.
How, do you have it every day?
Scheme of things, Scott, and,
Yeah.
you know, we have above ground infrastructure here,
They-
so when the
they
big storm
told
rolls
us,
in,
Right.
there
Tuesday,
may perhaps
Friday,
be
Saturday,
some-
Sunday, you have water.
some
Mondays-
blips.
Monday you have none.
Oh.
Wednesday you have none, Thursday you have none.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get it Sunday, and neither did we get it Monday, and so far today, we didn't get it. So that's 3 days, no water.
3 days, no water? Do you guys
Yeah.
have a pila
Tanaka?
at Tenaco?
Yeah, we do,
But it's
even
drained.
that runs out eventually if we, especially the dog and showering her off.
And
But are you out of water now?
No,
Because
not
of
yet.
the Tenaco? How many days did your
is
Tenaco
home?
last?
Where are you located?
2-3 days in the Bahia.
How's yours been?
It's been awesome, but I've got a 5,000 liter Tanaka.
I don't
Tanaka.
know how
Where
many
I'm at,
liters
and
are.
It's great.
5,000 liter?
Massive.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
Is yours one of the black ones that goes on your roof?
No, it's downstairs, and when we lose electricity, we lose water.
I think
because
Yeah,
yours
it
is
that's-
800.
I was gonna say 750.
It might be 750, right? 750, yeah.
'Cause it's
I was gonna
tall.
say, because I know it's not 1100. 1100's a standard, and I know it's a little smaller than standard.
I've got the big blue one, the big fat
It's
blue
kind
one
of-
underground,
Yeah.
and we finally
Yeah,
installed
you
it
need to- yeah.
because we went through weeks without water out in the Ranchitos, and we're like, this is ridiculous. We've only got 1,000 liters of water up on our roof, and so we installed this huge tank. And so now we seldom have a problem, but any of these, you've probably experienced it yourself. Well, maybe not. I've got kids, right? Somebody leaves a faucet on,
Right.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
and it drains the
Yeah.
tank.
Yeah, don't turn our-
Shower,
our
10
faucet
minute,
just
10
right,
minute
it's gonna
teenage
leak.
shower.
And
Yeah.
what's worse when you have 5,000 liters is you just drain 5,000 liters of water
Very-
into
very
the
easily,
desert
very
floor.
easily, yeah. We're very, very cautious.
The water company
when
is
we know there's
not
no
forgiving.
coming
It's like you gotta pay for that.
Yeah, I don't make washes when I know there's no water coming in, you know, and we don't wash floors and stuff like that. We're very cautious. But it becomes a problem. It's a worrisome thing on your mind. I don't
Yeah.
have any water. Once we had to buy it, and that was ridiculous, from the trucks. And I said, we'll never do that again.
It's interesting, the stress, the pressure points that are put on our lives because of where we are economically.
Right.
It's like nobody thinks about it, but there's this gray cloud in the back of your brain all the time because of stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
And you really see it in people that are much less fortunate than we are, where every day they're wondering where food's going to come from
Well,
next.
yes, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's-
Then you feel blessed. But the good outweighs the bad. All right, so you got to
Oh,
be a
for
little
sure.
cautious for the water, but look where you live. How could you compensate for that?
Well, and we are fortunate to live at an economic level where we could choose whether we're going to live like this or not. I mean, we could go find another place to live where these facilities are available 24/7. I just came back from Alaska. Not once did I. Oh, now I say that, and they did turn off our water once, without any. No, I mean, we're bed and breakfast, and
Oh,
we're like,
yeah, that would
hey,
be
wait a second.
Wait.
Why don't we have any water? And we've got a house right next to. We've got two houses. My parents' house, the house I grew up in, and then we own the house next door, and that's where my family lives in the summer season. And all of a sudden, there's no water coming into the house.
But now your bed and breakfast, people come in and use the facilities, and you prepare for them and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have rooms to rent, and
Oh.
and we provide breakfast in the morning,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
in
Bed and
bathrooms
breakfast.
and things like that. We have full kitchens that people
Yeah.
can use, but there's no water coming in the house.
So now
I
that's
go
the
next
problem.
door, and there's water in the house. Like, what's going on?
Interesting.
And they're working on something out front, but they don't do anything to like notify you
No,
that
yeah.
this is going on. And I go over there just to find out, because like what I learned from being Mexican is I should go ask if this is related. Because if it's not, then I just don't have water, and I'm wasting time waiting for them to get done with their work. And I go across the street, and they're like, "Really? You don't have water in your house?" I'm like, "Yeah, the house next door has water, but we don't." And he goes, "Huh? We thought all these houses were on this side of the pipe, but your house must be on the other side." I'm like, "Well, that's good to know." He's like, "That's got to be the issue, and we're going to be done in about 8 hours, and you guys will have water again. You just have to wait."
Lots of this stuff is totally undocumented.
Well, that same.
I remember about 10 years ago being in the Guaymas, like the it was right there, and it was the official public works office, because I was trying to get a really good map of Guaymas, and the young lady told me that they use Google Maps.
Right.
And I'm like, no, like for your maps of the infrastructure, and you gotta have something. I mean, this is Google Maps
I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
This is Google Maps of 10 years ago, and she's like, no, we don't have any.
We print out Google Maps and then we use Sharpies to draw the infrastructure.
But this town, this was a port in the 1860s. It was part of the French, attempted recolonization. It's like there've been like mapping of Guaymas for a couple hundred years.
Well, yeah, but every house is just the bodega they built off the back of the last house.
No, I know. It's like really, so I bet you to this day they have very, very limited. Like if you were to say,
yeah, sure.
Show me a single map that shows the electrical grid.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely not. They
How's
would.
it wired, buddy?
Actually, maybe the electric grid's a bad example since it's federal and they seem to really have that dialed in.
You know why I think it might not be a bad example? Well, actually, you're right.
Yeah, but the water's a perfect example.
I guarantee you that Mega Cable and Telmex don't have accurate maps of how these boys strung it, because they're not doing any documentation at the end of the job.
Yeah.
When he goes like, "Oh, I'll like run it from this to this pole and then across that way."
Right.
You think that gets down on paper anywhere?
Hey, on this theme, let me tell you a really funny a story from Alaska. A number of years ago, the house I live in, we could hear water running. And it's Alaska. We have water everywhere, so there's only a flat fee for water because there's just an insane amount of water. Nobody's worried about using too much water. But we can hear water running, and our water pressure is really low in the house, all over the place. And so the thought is that a water main to the house is broken. And since it's on this side of the pipe, it's our responsibility to get it fixed. So, I mean, this is a number of years ago. I think this might even be before we had kids. That we had to hire a backhoe to go in and dig up the yard looking for this broken connection. And as they're digging, they find an old oil tank from when the houses used to be heated with oil, and it's just been left there, buried in this muck. And so they have to pull this tank out and get rid of it, and it's a whole environmental thing because it's still oil in it.
Oh, wow.
Right? We get through all that. That's all our expense. That's all us, right? And we did it right. We had contractors. They went to the city. They asked for all the permissions. They asked for all the plans for our area. No one was expecting to find an oil tank. It's nowhere on the blueprints. There's no reason, but it's still our expense. They get rid of the oil tank. They go to shovel in some more, and they cut right through a telecommunications line.
Wow.
Nice.
And not a little like your neighbor's line, but like 10,000 of your neighbors.
Wow.
Sweet. That's the one you want to cut too.
Now that wasn't your.
That wasn't our fault. Nobody knew that line was down there.
Wow.
And for a week, they had telephone people down in this hole trying to repair this line so that we could bring up phones all over our neighborhood.
God.
It was crazy.
But they finally did it.
Yeah, no, they
Sure.
had no choice. You get into those kinds of projects, there's only one end to it. It's just how long is the journey?
Yeah.
But our whole project was on hold while they fixed
Oh, yeah.
that line.
Priorities.
Well, we've reached the end of this first meeting. It's 10:30. We're about 15 minutes over, which
Okay.
is normal. That's why I say we end about 10:15-ish. Yeah.
So,
It's been very nice to have you guys come show up, and we will expect more people next week, I'm sure. At least one more, I'm sure. That's just the way it works.
Has to be at least one.
There has to be at least one more person.
Sure.
And hopefully we'll have our shit together. And there will
So
be
to
a
speak.
stream going, not at the last minute like it was today, but actually working.
what do they charge for the juice? Do we have any idea?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. And we always appreciate Tequilas being willing to work with us and give us access to their internet and give us space and table service. So if you're in San Carlos and
Sí.
looking for a good place to eat with nice people, come to Tequilas. I'm Scott Stimpson from International Computer Solutions, and if you have any computer problems anywhere on the internet, get a hold of us. You can get a hold of me through internationalcs.net. That's Scott at internationalcs.net. You can also check out our computer club. If you like this and would like to see some of the stuff we've done in the past or get ready for the future, go ahead and check out scclub.org. Special thanks to Richard to being here, helping me with all this stuff and the conversation. He was our third member today,
How do you say?
so appreciate all the topics, the impromptu topics. And
So this is for the coffee.
I wonder what my topics look like. Hey, you know what? Let's finish this off with one last topic that's really easy.
Cinco más.
Oh, another one? Okay. Oh,
There we go. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been a series that's been put out on Netflix called Inside Bill Gates' Brain. I started watching it this morning only because somebody said I should. I have no interest in seeing Bill Gates whitewash his past. I grew up of the generation. I know he's a ruthless businessman. I know he has stolen software. I know that he has driven businesses out of business. And that part of his past you cannot deny. And I think that when people do stuff like this, where they start authorizing memoirs and they're really rewriting their history. And that's what happens when you get older, is like you start being ashamed of the stuff you did when you were younger, and you want to be remembered. You want your kids to remember you. And so I had no interest in watching this series. I caught an interview, a podcast interview on The Verge that was with the guy that put together the series. I'm only on the first episode. It is a lot of Bill Gates whitewashing of his past. But this guy said, no, the whole series is not that. There are very hard questions that are in it. And what I appreciated of the first episode is it really gets into what he's doing with toilets and sanitation in third world countries. And I became so engrossed in the topic that I forgot I was actually watching memoirs of Bill Gates. So that alone, I think, is worth checking out. And so we can leave on that
so
note.
he's becoming a better person?
I-
Basically is what you're saying? You started out
The truth is,
as a
he
culprit.
started becoming a better person in two areas that probably won't be mentioned in this documentary. When he met his wife, there at
20 years or something.
yeah, something like that. It was a while ago. And then right after he met his wife, he stepped down from being CEO of Microsoft. And those two influences on his life really did push him in a different direction.
Sure.
He became more personable.
Feria del coffee.
Oh, gracias.
Yeah. So this is she knows, this is for the house.
Oh, okay.
Is that the 50, you said 50
5 pesos. 5 pesos.
Not 50.
Not 50. 5
Oh,
pesos
5.
each.
Oh.
Or it might be 10 pesos. What is it? What do we normally leave? Russ always
I think
keeps us
10,
on this.
actually. I think it's usually 10 pesos a piece. I'm
Yeah.
almost certain.
Yeah, I think it 10
So,
pesos a
and who
piece.
do you give it to? The
We leave it on the
servers now?
table.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
it's just so you know.
So
it's
this
a
time we'll be
service. Some
generous.
people
and we'll
don't.
What's
cover
that?
everybody.
Is that still live?
Oh, it is, but we're going to shut this down. Anyway, that's everything for this meeting. We'll see you next week. Thanks for being with us. Goodbye, and tech on.